Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saghanar Gunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyanachana Shalakya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Urva Bhishtam Sapurkam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabhidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavananam Balarka Shilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Shri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyas Yakripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratabhishe Namah. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur, translation by Sarvabhavana Prabhu. And this is Madhya-khanda, chapter 10, the great revelation of Mahaprabhu. My dearest friend, Lord Gauranga, you are the ocean of transcendental qualities. All glory to you and all glory to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, the Supreme Personality, who is without beginning or end. After bestowing boons upon Sridhar, Lord Chaitanya began to gently sway his head and repeated the name, Nada, Nada, Nada. He spoke to Advaita Acharya. Acharya, ask what you need. The Acharya replied, my prayers have already been answered, my Lord. Lord Chaitanya appreciated this answer with a thunderous roar that drowned all other sounds. While Lord Chaitanya was still manifesting his Mahaprakash Leela in the mood of the omnipotent, supremely opulent Lord, Gadadhar Pandit prepared betel and offered it to the Lord, who happily accepted. Lord Nityananda, whose partial expansion, Ananta Sesh, is the support of the universe, now held the umbrella over Lord Chaitanya as Advaita Acharya and other great personalities stood before him. The Lord ordered Murari, look at me. Murari saw Sri Ramachandra in person. He saw that Vishwambar, Lord Chaitanya, was sitting on a kingly throne with his bow, his complexion as green as fresh tender shoots of grass. He saw Janaki Devi, Sita Devi on his left and Lakshman on his right. All around, the brave monkey leaders were offering prayers. By the influence of Lord Chaitanya's transcendental pastimes, Murari, now perceiving his identity as Hanuman and seeing his beloved Ramachandra, fell down in an ecstatic swoon. Lord Vishwambar called out aloud, hey, monkey, you seem to forget how the demon Ravana, who stole Sita Devi, burnt your face. In rage, you set ablaze his capital, Sri Lanka, and destroyed his entire race. I am that same Lord, your worshipable Lord. Now you are again in my presence. Rise, rise, Murari. You are as dear to me as my own life. I am that Lord Ramachandra, and you are Hanuman. Look now upon Lakshman, your beloved life and soul. You saved his life by bringing from afar the Gandhamadan mountain. Offer obeisances to the lotus feet of Janaki, Sita Devi, whose distress moved you to profuse tears. Lord Chaitanya's words brought back Murari's consciousness, and upon awakening he saw that wonderful scene and began to cry in Krishna Prem. Murari's ecstatic crying moved even the lifeless dry wood, what to speak of the assembled Vaishnavas. Again, Lord Chaitanya spoke to Murari. You may ask me for any boon. Sri Murari replied, "My Lord, I do not yearn for anything. However, grant me just one wish. May I sing only of your glories. May I be born in any situation, but birth after birth, I simply pray that I may remember and serve you in the association of your servitors. O my Lord, please do not place me in any situation where I may deviate from the absolute truth, forgetting that you are the Supreme Lord and I am your eternal servant. Wherever you descend, accompanied by your eternal associates, I desire to be there as your insignificant servitor." The Lord replied, "So be it, so be it. I grant you this boon." Hearing this, a jubilant uproar from the devotees filled the air. All the Vaishnava devotees were naturally very affectionately disposed to Murari, who was always compassionate to all living beings. Such was the purity of Murari's devotion that merely his presence would transform anywhere into a holy place of pilgrimage, as transcendental as Vaikuntha. It is impossible to describe the greatness of Murari. Even the Supreme Lord advanced for the pleasure of Murari. Lord Chaitanya then declared, "All of you listen carefully. If anyone criticizes Murari, he cannot be saved by even 1,000,000 dips in the Ganga. In fact, the baths in the Ganga or even the chanting of Lord Hari's name will certainly destroy such a sinful wretch. Murari Gupta, the Supreme Lord is Gupta, secretly seated in Murari's heart. This is the spiritual import of Murari Gupta's name." Chanting Krishna's name, the Vaishnava devotees began to weep in ecstasy, seeing how Lord Chaitanya had showered his mercy upon Murari. Anyone who hears these pastimes of Lord Chaitanya's extraordinary magnanimity will receive Krishna Prema. While Murari and Sridhar wept in Krishna Prema, being in front of the Lord, Lord Chaitanya chewed on the betel pan, making loud cracking sounds. Lord Chaitanya then turned his benign glance on Haridas and called out, "Haridas, look at me. Your body and birth is superior to mine. Your class and caste is more elevated than mine. Although that sinful Muslim tormentor inflicted great pain on you, yet in my heart I hesitate to punish him, for that would surely disturb you. Such is your compassionate nature. Listen, Haridas. When you were lashed with a whip in the different marketplaces, I took up my Sudarshan disc and descended to earth from Vaikuntha, intending to sever the tormentors' heads. While your tormentors were trying to beat you to death, at the same time you were thinking of their well-being. You were unconcerned about your own pains. You had only compassion for them. On account of your merciful heart, I could not use force. My Sudarshan disc weapon was rendered impotent. I could not strike those men because you were determined to forgive them. Being unable to see your misery, I protected you from their lashes by placing my back upon your back. I accepted all those lashes meant for you on my back. See the marks on my back. I'm not lying. Whatever other secondary reasons there were for my descent, unable to bear your sufferings, I hastened my advent to this world. My beloved Nada, Advaitacharya, fully recognized who you are. I am totally bound by his loving devotion. Our beloved Lord Chaitanya is very expert in expanding and glorifying. Our beloved Lord Chaitanya is very expert in expanding the glories of his devotees. He will say or do anything to glorify and protect his devotees. He will even swallow fire for his devotees and willingly becomes his devotee's slave. Sri Krishna recognizes only his devotees and knows nothing else. To Krishna, there is no one equal in position to his pure devotees. All those miserly offenders who are antagonistic towards such pure devotees of the Lord are devoid of all good fortune. From these pastimes and the things Lord Chaitanya said to Haridas Thakur, one can see the highly elevated position of the devotees. When Haridas heard about the Lord's magnanimous deed, he He fell swooning to the ground. He lost all external consciousness and was immersed in an ocean of ecstasy. Lord Chaitanya said, "Wake up, wake up. See my opulent manifestation to your heart's content." Haridas Thakur awoke and, becoming externally conscious, in tears of transcendental love, he looked about, perceiving the Lord's extraordinary manifestation. He rolled about all over the courtyard, sometimes breathing heavily, other times swooning. All the ecstatic symptoms swept over Haridas' body like a hurricane, and although the Lord tried to steady him, Haridas could not remain still. Thakur Haridas said, "O Lord Vishvambar, you are the Lord and protector of the universe. Now the responsibility of delivering a lowly fallen wretch like me rests on you, my Lord. How can I describe your transcendental glories, as I do not possess any good qualifications? I am sinful, and I am not even within the Vedic society. Just seeing me makes a person vulnerable to sin, and touching me makes one so contaminated that he must bathe immediately. How then can I say anything about your divine pastimes? There is one fact that you yourself have stated. Anyone remembering your lotus feet, be he as insignificant and as fallen as an insect, is never forsaken by you, whereas even a mighty king falls from grace if he disregards your lotus feet. I am incapable of remembering you, although I know you shelter the most impoverished soul if he simply remembers you." The evil Duryodhana and Dushasana dragged the righteous Draupadi into the palace court, wanting to disrobe her. Confronted with the danger of disgrace, she remembered you, Krishna. Thus you made her sorry, endlessly long by your mystic potency. Yet the evildoers could not perceive your hand in this. Once, witches surrounded Sri Parvati Devi, desirous of eating her. When Parvati remembered you, you immediately appeared, punished the witches, and saved your devotee. I am so sinful that I cannot remember such a magnanimous personality as you, O Lord. Please, therefore, give me shelter at your lotus feet. The demon Hiranyakashipu inflicted all varieties of treachery and brutal methods, trying to kill Prahlad by poisoning, hurling down from the mountain, throwing in a boiling cauldron of oil, etc. Yet throughout his tribulations, Prahlad meditated upon your lotus feet and was saved from each and every calamity. In this way, you humbled many of his enemies and took away all their vitality and strength. Finally, you personally appeared due to Prahlad's meditation. Once the 5 Pandavas were in grave dilemma, fearing the wrath of Durvasa Muni, but by remembering you, you appeared personally and saved them. You calmed Yudhishthira Maharaj with your assuring words. So I am already here. You just sit down and relax, and I will take care of Durvasa Muni and his army of disciples. Only the shred of vegetable left stuck to the side of the pot after the Pandavas had eaten was taken by Lord Krishna, relishing the thought of coming to his devotees' aid. Meanwhile, the sage and his disciples, bathing in the river, suddenly felt full in the belly, as if having just eaten a sumptuous meal. Ashamed and tearful, they fled. The miraculous benefit of remembering your lotus feet was amply demonstrated by the Pandavas in this incident. For everyone, the path of true devotion is remembrance of you. You perform your super excellent activities to rescue your devotees. A story of Ajamil is a wonderful illustration that even in the most degraded state, one should remember the Supreme Lord at the moment of death. Ajamil saw the Yamadutas, messengers of death, coming to drag his soul away to the nether regions of hell. In fear, looking for shelter, he saw his son's innocent face and called out his name, Narayan, the holy name of the Supreme Lord. And this immediately reminded him of the Lord. As soon as his mind rested on the Lord, all his danger and distress disappeared. Only the most elevated devotees of the Lord have easy access to this greatest spiritual treasure, the constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. This is not surprising. O Lord, I am such a destitute that I do not possess the sweetness of your memory, and yet you have not forsaken me. Although I am unfit to see you, you are present before me in person. I am praying to you now for only one benediction. Sri Chaitanya replied, say all that you want to say, there is nothing that I do not want to give you. Haridas spoke to the Lord with folded hands. O Lord, I have known only misfortune, yet you give me so much hope. Just allow me to partake of the remnants of the foodstuffs of your devotees who are surrendered to your lotus feet. Let this activity be my permanent and most prominent service, life after life. My sinful birth and existence is miserable without remembrance of you, but now please make my life successful by granting me the remnants of your servitors. I feel within my heart that I have committed a grave offense by asking of you to be situated in the elevated status of a Vaishnava, for I am grossly unfit. O Lord, my master, protector and maintainer of the entire creation, I am spiritually lifeless. Therefore, kindly forgive my ignorance. O Lord Vishwambar, the beautiful son, O Lord Vishwambar, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi, you are my master, so be merciful to me and keep me as a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. Haridas Thakur was overwhelmed by feelings of ecstatic devotion, and he repeatedly petitioned the Lord, feeling his desire for humility and devotional service unfulfilled. Lord Chaitanya replied, listen, my dear Haridas, you are a highly elevated Vaishnava. If anyone spends a day in your service and association, or you kindly speak to someone for a short time, that person certainly achieves me. There is no doubt about this. Whoever respects and serves you does so to me also, for I perpetually reside within you. As my servitor, your position is unique. You have therefore imprisoned me within your heart eternally. Since you are crowned already with a faultless character, I bless you that you will always continue to worship and serve me and my devotees without a single deviation or offense. A tumultuous sound of joy from the Vaishnavas greeted Lord Chaitanya's boon to Haridas Thakur. High birth, caste, fruit of activities, or wealth are worthless commodities to achieve Krishna prema. Only the intense loving desire for Krishna can bring one to his lotus feet. A Vaishnava may take birth in any family, but he is always the most exalted personality. This is the spiritual verdict. The living proof is Haridas Thakur, who was born into a Muslim family, yet when he saw and spiritually perceived, what he saw and spiritually perceived is rarely experienced by even the most eminent personalities like Lord Brahma. Only the most wretched sinner will judge a Vaishnava by caste, race, or nationality, and for so doing, he suffers the pangs of repeated birth in the lower species of life. One who hears of this pastime of the Lord and Haridas Thakur with proper faith will certainly enjoy the fruits of Krishna prema. These words are not my concoction, but the bold declaration of all Scripture. One is sure to experience the bliss of devotional service to Lord Krishna if one lends oral reception to the transcendental activities of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. All glories to Haridas Thakur, a giant amongst the Vaishnavas. By remembrance of him, one is freed from all sinful reactions. The devotees started talking about Haridas. Someone said, "He is like Lord Brahma." Another observed, "Prahlad has come again as Haridas." Haridas Thakur was in every respect a great and unalloyed devotee. He is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. In their hearts, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always desire the transcendental company of Srila Haridas Thakur. All the demigods feel this same urge to associate with Haridas, and Ganga Devi wishes to bathe Haridas in her waters. Such is Haridas Thakur's exalted position. Just seeing him relieves one from the bondage of material existence. What to speak of associating with him? Great stalwart devotees like Prahlad, who was the son of a demon, and Hanuman, who was a monkey, are considered exalted Vaishnavas. Similarly, Haridas Thakur was born in a low-caste, non-Hindu family, but is counted among the foremost Vaishnava devotees. Haridas, along with Murari and Sridhar, began to weep joyful tears, while Vishwambar smiled pleasantly on them, chewing betel. Seated upon the throne, the Lord was engulfed in dazzling effulgence. An equally brilliantly shining Nityananda stood nearby, holding the umbrella over Lord Chaitanya. Smiling, Lord Chaitanya looked towards Advaita Acharya and began to reveal his inner thoughts. "Listen, Acharya, you do not remember the night I once fed you. At the time I had not yet advented, and you were endeavoring excessively to bring me down from my spiritual abode. You would hold discourses on the Bhagavad Gita and explain everything in terms of devotional service. There was hardly a soul who could grasp these topics. Once, when you could not understand the meaning of a certain text which pertained to devotional service, you did not look for discrepancies and faults in the text, but gave up comfort and enjoyment, wishing to acquire accurate esoteric knowledge. You were very depressed and lay back, refusing to eat. I appeared before you. When you fast, it is the same for me too. Whatever you offer me, I accept. I cannot stand to see your slightest pain. So that night, I appeared in your dreams and spoke to you. Awake, awake, Acharya, and hear the real purport of the Gita text. This is truly its unequivocal meaning. Please get up and eat. Give up your fast. As to you, I will reveal the esoteric meaning. Now eat to your satisfaction, and in some time everything will be clarified in dreams." In this way, the doubts that had arisen in Dvaita Acharya's mind while discoursing on the Gita were cleared. Distinctly, the Lord reminded the Acharya of the dreams in which he had appeared to clear the doubts. He gave the Acharya the exact number and the precise dates of the dreams and the correct text that had been explained in clearing the doubts. Truly, Advaita Acharya's devotion is glorious. How can I describe his unlimited potency and devotion? Lord Chaitanya continued, I explained to you all the difficult texts with the exception of one, and that I will explain to you now. The Gita text that reads, Sarvatra Panipadam, which means the Supreme Being's hands and feet are everywhere, is wrongly interpreted due to rigid partisan thinking in certain schools of philosophical thought. The real purport of this verse is that the Supreme Being pervades everything with his omnipotent presence. The complete Gita text reads, Sarvata Paniparam Tat Sarvatoshi Shiro Mukham Sarvata Shrutima Loke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. I have just revealed to you the very confidential meaning of this text. Who else is there other than you who can rigidly comprehend this subject matter. I once asked Srila Prabhupada about this same text, because it says everywhere as hands and legs, in this way the super soul exists. And Srila Prabhupada said, "What am I doing now?" And I said, "You're scratching your neck." And he says, "Yes." And he said, and this refers to this way the super soul exists, that in this way he is he explained it, arranging everything. But he gave that example. What am I doing now? Advaita Acharya is secretly a disciple of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya's explanations are his only shelter. When Advaita Acharya heard this explanation, because it seems to imply that kind of a little bit of impersonal meaning, but then it says it refers to the super soul, which actually refers to the greatest vision more of the Lord. When Advaita Acharya heard this explanation, which was so dear to him, he was overcome with happiness and began to weep. He addressed the Lord, saying, "I am unable to say anything. It is only my great fortune and glory that you are my Lord and Master." Advaita Acharya was merged in ecstatic bliss, seeing the wonderful potency of the Lord. One who has no faith in these spiritual explanations and exchanges is certainly doomed to perish. Only those rare souls, the pure devotees of the Lord, can understand the spiritual dissertations of Advaita Acharya, who was personally taught by Lord Chaitanya. The instructions of the Vedas are invariably interpreted in various ways, and so Advaita Acharya's highly esoteric explanations were often subject to different interpretations. Who can properly grasp the deep meanings of the Acharya's expositions that deal with such greatly subtle spiritual matters? Undoubtedly, his words are as good as the Supreme Lord's own. The Acharya's words are like autumn clouds. They rain in certain areas only to leave other places dry. His words are understood by only a few fortunate souls, not everyone. Advaita Acharya should not be blamed for this, for everything depends on a person's piety and good fortune, which bestows the ability to understand his words. Advaita Acharya's main devotional duty was to serve the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, to tell all the Vaishnavas, to this all the Vaishnavas could testify. Those who disregard the instructions of the other Vaishnava associates of Lord Chaitanya with the excuse that they only follow Advaita Acharya cannot gain the Lord's favor. Those who accept Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Lord of all lords are the true followers of Advaita Acharya, and thereby the Acharya recognizes their service. Devotional service to the Lord is imperishable, yet it is rendered impotent if one does not accept Lord Chaitanya as the Lord and Master of everyone, including Advaita Acharya. Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he did not accept the supremacy of Lord Ramachandra, who is the Lord of even Shiva. Lord Shiva was thus displeased with Ravana, despite his devotion, and would not accept his worship or service, which was therefore useless. Hence, Ravana and his entire race were destroyed. Lord Shiva does not convey to his devotees his personal feelings about their actions, whether they are good or bad. However, whoever is sufficiently intelligent will understand the desire of Lord Shiva within his heart. In the same way, the followers of Advaita Acharya, not understanding the desire of their master, claim to be his disciples, but criticize Lord Chaitanya. Advaita Acharya does not tell them anything because of his particular nature. Therefore, neglecting the advice of other Vaishnavas and the inner desire of Advaitacharya, they perish. These condemned persons do not understand that Advaitacharya's exalted position and his mystic perfection are all due to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. If anyone volunteers to instruct them on these matters, they become enraged and go to strike their well-wisher. Little do they know that Lord Chaitanya's external potency, Maya Devi, is exceedingly powerful, and she takes sufficient care of such wayward and demoniac souls. Lord Chaitanya is the most beautiful Supreme Personality, and Advaita Acharya is his eternal servitor. He is like the different jewelry and ornaments that decorate the Lord. The position of persons who do not accept this has been clearly defined in the previous verses. If in spite of these verses people refuse to recognize the position and inner life of Advaitacharya, they are doomed. A person's elevation and progress in devotional life depends on how well he is serving Lord Chaitanya. There is nothing superior to the Lord's devotional service. In proportion to the mercy he receives from Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, the devotee advances in devotional service. In this way, devotional mellows constantly increase. Lord Nityananda inspires everyone to chant continually. Encouraging all, he implores, "My dear brothers, call out, O my Gaurachandra." Advaitacharya is often moved to tears by devotional emotions, being engrossed in remembering Lord Chaitanya and his pastimes. If after hearing these transcendental narrations, a person is unable to develop devotional fervor and love for Lord Chaitanya, then contact with such a person should be avoided, for it will wither away one's faith and piety. One who understands that Advaitacharya is a foremost Vaishnava devotee of Lord Chaitanya and serves him in that capacity is himself an exalted Vaishnava devotee. He is thus assured of the shelter of Lord Krishna eternally. Such a Vaishnava is also very dear to Advaitacharya. Others who do not understand this relationship are despicable rejects of human society. Advaitacharya is always extremely pleased to hear his Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified as the Supreme Lord of all. Advaitacharya himself glorifies Lord Chaitanya in this manner. There should be no doubt about this. Lord Chaitanya revealed the real purport of the Gita text to the Acharya, and then hid the portals of devotional life to the non-devotees. Lord Chaitanya revealed the real purport of the Gita text to the Acharya, and then hid the portals of devotional life to the non-devotees. Lord Chaitanya suddenly spoke out, lifting his arms. "Everyone look at me and ask any boon you desire." All the assembled devotees bubbled over with happiness, hearing the Lord's words, and they each asked a boon from the Lord. Advaitacharya spoke first, saying, "My Lord, I only pray that you shower your grace on this ignorant and fallen soul." Someone else said, "My father opposes my devotional involvement, so grant me this, O Lord. May his heart be transformed, and may he become a devotee." One of them prayed, "Lord, please increase my faith in my Guru." In this way, they asked for blessings for their dear ones, disciples, sons, wives, servants, and so on. Lord Vishwambara is the benefactor of all his devotees and fulfills all their desires. Smiling sweetly, he granted everyone's boon. So tomorrow I'll continue. Now I'm going to sing Hari Harai. Okay. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama.
Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Mananamohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Mananamohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Ganadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Ganadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Javite Vignana Shabista Puran. Javite Vignana Shabista Puran. Echai Gosai Jar Muitaradas. Echai Gosai Jar Muitaradas. Tasamar Para Renu Mora Panchagras. Sabar Para Renu Mora Panchagras. Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Ambilas. Janame Janame More Ambilas. Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodar. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodar. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodar. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodar. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Jai Gora Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadrashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadrashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premasiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Ganadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwabaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kana Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Shri Vishaka Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari
Jai,
Hari Bol.
Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai. 9 people are watching, 9 devotees are watching.
Okay.
Haribal is here.
Okay.